All right, YouTubers, D-Man 2000 here, back to continue our discussion of modes and scales. This is lesson 9. Today we're going to talk about the Gypsy minor, or what some people call the Hungarian minor scale. And last time we talked about the harmonic minor scale, and we said that was a derivative of the natural minor or Aeolian scale or mode. Respectively. And so the same thing is true with the Gypsy minor, and we said of the harmonic minor scale that it was different from the natural minor by one note. And so we're just going to review that quickly. And so we're going to focus on the key of A, which is here on the 5th fret, 6th string, and as we recall from our previous lessons, we know that this is our top string groups of 4 Aeolian or A natural minor scale. And so what we said about the harmonic minor was that on this bottom of the pair of strings on the 5th string, that if we shifted our pinky note up half a step or 1 fret, that is the sharp 4 note, and that's the different note. So what it would look like is, okay, and then this, of course, the same thing would be true on the middle pair. We'd slide up 2 frets on the middle pair and 3 frets on the high pair, the E and the B string, and so we'd have something like that. Now, the very same thing is true of the Gypsy minor scale, and of course we had said that on the top of each pair, so the 6th, the 4th, and the 2nd strings, that we're not changing any notes at all. So with the Gypsy minor, the difference is that we're only changing one note, but because of the way that the note falls, it actually requires a little bit different fingering on both strings this time. It's very, very simple, though. So on the top string, we would play starting in A, which would be our A Gypsy minor, and we would reach for that outside note a half a step up on the top pair of each group of 4. So that's what the top string would look like. And then down here on the 5th string, if we were playing a minor, or a natural minor or Aeolian scale, we would start on this note. But because and this would be our Dorian root, which we know from previous lessons. And so here, because we shifted this note, which is our Dorian root, up half a step, then it would only make sense that we are shifting this note here up half a step as well. So our fingering on the bottom pair of each groups of 4 would start here on the 6th fret, and it would just be played. The rest of the notes would be played just like they would be if it were a natural minor scale or a normal group of 4. Okay, so what that looks like is okay, and then if we were going to do it, on the middle group, it would just be all right, and then if we were dropped down to here, and so that's it. That is the Gypsy minor or Hungarian minor scale, and again, we're just changing one note, but because the same note which is our Dorian root, is on both strings. We're just altering our finger slightly, and that's very easy to keep track of. Now, just to review the harmonic minor, what we said about that was, okay, that's our harmonic minor, and on the bottom pair, and then if we were on the top string and we want to play our Gypsy minor, we could do that. And what I talked about in the last lesson was that, between the harmonic minor and the natural minor, it's very easy to shift back and forth because, one, we can slide our finger up like this, and there's our harmonic minor note, there's our natural minor note. So we have all of these notes, And what I want to point out to you today is that you can do the same thing with the Gypsy minor. So and we can mix them actually. It doesn't matter, once I know where the notes are, I can choose to break it up however I want. I can, play them outside and use my pinky and slide my pinky back and forth and use my normal fingering, or I can slide this down okay. So I can do that however I want. If I choose to, I could just, play the two notes, the half steps, and I can find those half steps everywhere on all 6 strings and make a little 2-note per string scale out of that if I want to, which I like to do that sometimes. And so what this is it's just a really cool way, for us to go back and forth. Okay, using, 3 different scales or modes: the Aeolian or natural minor, the harmonic minor, and the Gypsy minor. And and the great thing about that is, if we're playing in a key and we're playing, in our minor key, which is what you want to be doing with your harmonic minor and Gypsy minor scales, is those scales will all pretty much work over minor chord progressions. So you can experiment and shift back and forth between them pretty much at will without getting into too much trouble. And I think that's that's incredibly useful. I think in the future, we will talk at some point about chords and how to choose chords that work with our various modes and scales. And I think that we'll do some backing tracks to demonstrate this kind of a little bit more, how powerful it is to be able to just take what we already know, the groups of 4 concept, and use it to play diagonal harmonic minor and Gypsy minor and natural minor scales up and down the neck without having to think about it too much, and to be able to transpose keys in the same way, and then just to be able to mix them up like we just talked about. So I think that's pretty much it as far as that part of the lesson. What I've tried to do with this lesson series is just break it down so that it's as simple as possible, you'll notice I'm not throwing a lot of charts and graphs at you. Uh, I'm not teaching, fragments or, um, part licks or partial um, scales. I mean, these are actual complete scales, and it's just a little different way of looking at it. And so for me, the frustrating thing was all of the other stuff that I had to learn and pay attention to just to get to something where I wanted to be, which was really relatively, simple. Um, and so I've tried to discard as much of that as possible, and I think that it's a worthwhile approach when you're learning. You always have time to go into things in more detail. For me, I think like a lot of people, I picked up the guitar probably because I was bored. There's one sitting around the house, and you don't have anything to do, and you pick it up and start playing. And so, the first lessons that I had, as a kid, go into a music store and sit down, and some old guy trying to teach me, hang down your head, Tom Dooley, or something, which was, a very old song that I had never heard before. And so I just don't think that's a good approach when you're trying to communicate with someone. And so that's the reason that we're doing things how we are. I zoom in on the guitar neck because I watch a lot of videos where the people are talking and they've got outlandish outfits on, and they're trying to be funny or show their unique personality, but you can't see what their hands are doing or what their fingers are doing. And it's not about showcasing talent or playing or anything, just strictly imparting the knowledge that hopefully you will find useful. And I think that's about it. I think the only other thing I'm going to say is that most scales can be interpreted in terms of groups of four. There are a few that, um, maybe don't work as, some work better than others, but it's definitely viable for most of the common and popular types of scales and modes that you need to play modern music. And we're getting to the point now where we've covered a lot of ground, covered the pentatonics, we covered, major and minor scales, we've covered the 7 modes, major scale and its modes, and as well as the blues scale, the harmonic minor, the gypsy minor. And so you should consider yourself, if you've gone all the way through this, armed and dangerous. I will say that I've tried to keep the lessons to about 15 minutes. So if you look at it, we've done 9 lessons. So we're really only talking about a couple of hours is how much time we spent so far. And again, they say the pen's mightier than the sword. Well, so's this. And consider yourself armed and dangerous. And peace out. See you next time.